especially now in the era of data. And I do hope we're all hyped to talk about data analytics and also to take a journey with data analytics today. My name is Kamal Bendina, Chief Growth Officer with Detalium. And on this call, I have Oyinda Fashokan, our very beautiful Head of Programs and Partnerships at Detalium. And it's indeed an honor to host you for this event. Right. So I would like to urge you all to just remember to put on your seatbelts and enjoy the ride with us as we journey into data analytics. So before I proceed, today we have people joining us from over 5 continents and well over 30 countries. And of course, with different time zones. So a lot of sacrifices are put into joining this event, and it shows how intentional people are about their growth. And this is, of course, interesting and also encouraging for us all at Detalium. And most importantly, I would also like to express my immense gratitude for you all and thanking you all for joining in and making our time, of course. And I'd also like to extend this gratitude to our wonderful speakers for choosing to share value with us, right? So the theme of today's event is a journey with data analytics. And this is aimed at aimed at opening aspiring data enthusiasts into the world of opportunities, right? That is abound in data analytics, and also an opportunity for people to learn from leaders within this space. The focus for this event is basically to help you know how to get started and also build a successful career in data analytics, and of course, also securing opportunities worldwide, right? So without further ado, I would quickly like to introduce Detalium to you all. For those of you that are just having to come in contact with Detalium and just tell us some of the things we've done and the milestones we achieved. So the question is, who is Detalium? The organizers of this event. Detalium is a global digital ecosystem geared towards upskilling talents and matching them with local and global talents, right? We achieve this through our liquid learning model and an AI-driven job matching platform. So it's one thing for one to be upskilled in a particular skill, especially in the digital world, but also securing opportunities to help them find decent lives and also be impactful to their communities. At Detalium, we actually have various arms: the Detalium Academy, the Detalium Intelligence Technologies, and also we are focused on improving women and also giving them an opportunity and a level playing ground within the world of tech, right? All of this is put together to ensure that individuals improve their skills and also ensure that they are very effective and efficient in discharging their duties. Our numbers over the years, Detalium in 30 months has been able to train over 14,000 people and help them secure over 300 jobs. In this course, we've also been able to spread our mission of impact to corporates. That is from the arm of the academy. We also have our talent matching platform, which constantly posts jobs and opportunities for individuals across the globe. Currently, we have over 400 plus jobs and 200 talents registered around various locations in the world, 30 cities plus and growing. Is of course a good moment for talents and also a good time for opportunities for people around the world. In the course of our mission of impact, we've garnered great recognitions from clients and also international bodies. These are a host of some of these recognitions which you've had: UN Migration, Westerwell Foundation, Bond Enough, from local and private organizations, as well as international organizations. We have our school, business analysis, data analytics and business intelligence, School of Robotics, software engineering, management and leadership. We have a great, wonderful process that seeks to address the needs of the talent from an onboarding all the way to support and placement. These are a few of our cohorts and wonderful people that have come through us in the course of our journey. We've also had the opportunity to host events. And of course, this is one of these events to share the word of impact to all the people around and see how we can make our communities better and improve the lives of people. So thank you so much. At Detalium, the future starts with you and the future starts here. So without wasting more time, I would quickly like to introduce our speaker for today. We have wonderful speakers all queued up. So for our first speaker, I'll quickly like to introduce Ayodele Oluleye. But before I proceed, I would like to encourage each and every one of you that are attending to kindly use the chat box to tell us your full names and what location you are joining us from. It will be interesting to see where we are and will also help in networking and also improving this wonderful community. So our first speaker for today is nobody but Ayodele Oluleye. Ayodele Oluleye is a certified data professional with a rich cross-functional background that spans across strategy, product management, automation, data management, and analytics. He currently leads the data and insight team that spearheads data management and analytics initiative across ARM group of companies. He will be sharing his vast knowledge and experience with an in-depth understanding of the data value landscape. This is a wonderful session and also an interesting topic from a seasoned data professional. And I do all hope we're hyped to listen and learn from Ayodele as he takes us through this wonderful session. Thank you so much, Ayodele.
All right, thank you very much. And thanks once again for this, for the invite to speak. I'm always excited to, share knowledge and help to build the data community. So I have very little time, which is 15 minutes, so I'll just jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen. And I'll need you all to tell me if you can see my screen. First off, can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, fantastic.
The chat box is also working. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. And can you see my screen? Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about understanding the data value landscape. And basically, I'm just going to run through I'll go through a background, then I'll talk about analytics. I also talk about understanding the data roles on your feet, and then tips for your journey. I'm hoping I can do all this in 15 minutes. If I can't, we'll just see how far we can go with this. And yeah. Okay, so into the background, right? Our world is changing at a very fast pace. It's actually no news that, technology has changed everything. Technology has changed the way we, the way we live, the way we do business, and even the way we interact. Right. And things have actually changed, faster than anyone imagined. So if you look at this picture on the slide just sums it all up. About a decade ago or a decade and a half ago, what you have at the top. So you had the iPod, you had the camcorder, you had the external hard drives, you had the cameras, right? Just about a decade and a half ago, up to even a decade ago, all these were devices, that we were using for one thing or the other, right? But if you look at things today, a whole lot has changed in the sense that everything you have up there can now be found in your phone, right? Regardless of whether it's a smartphone or whether it's an Android phone or whether it's an iPhone, right? So everything has converged into, a phone. And that just summarizes how fast, technology is actually moving in just 1 decade, right? We've had this significant advancement. And the truth about it is, beyond just technology as a whole, that the data landscape is also changing, and data itself has also changed the way we live, the way we interact, and even the way we do business, right? And if you look at this various headlines from reputable bodies, right? So Wired says data is the new oil of the digital economy. WF says it's the new currency. SAS says data is the new soil, get your hands dirty. IBM says data is the new fuel. AI is the accelerator, right? So the truth about it is, whether you agree with this or not, whether you agree with, the semantics of, oh, is it a currency or is it oil? Is it not oil? The truth about it is data is big, right? And data is changing things, and data is going to continue changing things. I think that's the key thing from this, right? So, and that's something we need to see and we need to appreciate and understand. And that's why we're having this session. Now, a lot of people say there's a lot of buzz, around analytics, around data, it's just buzz. But the truth about it is the trend is likely to grow because data never sleeps. So if you look at this slide also captures it very, very, very well. And this is a slide from Domo. And basically shows you that every minute of the day, and this was even 2021, I'm sure it's increased by now. You can see that on TikTok, you have 167 million videos. On Google, you have 5.7 million searches. On YouTube, 694,000 hours are streamed per minute. So this is not, remember, this is not per hour, this is not per week, this is not per year, this is not per month, this is not per day, this is not per hour, this is per minute, right? That's huge, and it's growing, right? It's really growing. So if you look to the bottom, you can see the global internet population growth starting from 2016 to 2021. In 2016 was 3.4 billion. Now it's 5.2 billion in terms of the internet population, people that now have access to internet. So all this is just going to keep growing, right? It's never going to stop. And the good thing is, beyond just social media, because, that previous slide speaks more to social media, you can see that even leading organizations are constantly using data as a competitive advantage. So you look at, this, I got this from Statista, the top 10 largest companies in the world by market capitalization as at 2021. And you see that a lot of them are tech companies, the big tech companies, and you can see that definitely they're using data heavily, right? Even the likes of Tesla, with their self-driving cars and all that, that they're feeding that a lot of data. They're using lots of data for that. Now, when I saw this, the only company that stood out was, Saudi Aramco. That's the Saudi Arabian oil company. And I said, oh, of all the rest, right, I can see very clearly how they're using data. But for Saudi Aramco, I wasn't too sure. So I just did a quick search, and on their page, they had specific pages dedicated to how they actually using data to drive their business. Obviously, that shows you that this is also a data-driven company, even though it's in oil and gas, right? And they're using data for several things to drive their business and to gain competitive advantage in the space. And so just to close this, background, there's a story I like to share. A lot of times when, people talk about use cases, they talk about use cases in Meta, in Amazon, in Apple, in Netflix, in Google. But there's a story I like to share, which is Target. Target is is one of the largest retail chains, in the world. And sometime in 2012, they got a statistician to start to look at their data, just trying to see the interesting things and insights they could get from their data. And, interestingly, when the statistician started to, mine the data and do lots of analysis and, pattern matching and all that, what he found out was that, women who bought certain products were likely to be, were pregnant and likely to be due like 3 to 6 months ahead, right? From that time they bought the product. And so what he started to do was to, share that with the business. So the business then started to, develop catalogs for those women and share those catalogs ahead of time, right? Because they then could predict that the women were going to give birth or be due in like 3 to 6 months. And it was an interesting insight, right? Until it seemed like it went wrong, because there was this day that, a man who had gotten the catalogs felt very comfortable, uncomfortable and very annoyed, because the catalogs were sent to his teenage daughter, and he felt, I mean, that wasn't a good mistake. That was, unacceptable, right? So he went to the store, complained to the manager. The manager had to apologize. Then the manager, tried to find out what was going on. The long and short of the story is, 2 weeks down the line, when the manager called again to apologize, the man was the one actually apologizing to the manager, saying, there are things in my house that, I don't know much about. And, he apologized to the manager, saying, oh, he later found out his teenage daughter was pregnant, right? And I've heard that story for years now, but I still always like to share it, because it just shows you the power of, organizations being able to use and mine data, right? Which is very, very interesting. Okay, so in terms of understanding analytics, right? Let's just quickly run through this. So what's data analytics or data analysis? Well, I'll say that data analysis, in very simple terms, deals with extracting insights to make better decisions, right? Helping you make better decisions, by extracting insights. Making better decisions can be by looking at historical data. Making better decisions can be by being able to predict, what's likely to happen in the future. So future outcomes, customer behavior, and all that. And so data analytics has four branches or four levels. The first is descriptive, which is where we're looking into the past, right? We're looking at what has happened. So companies looking at, what's my revenue as of last year? How well did we do in terms of sales and all that? Diagnostic goes into the why. So descriptive is the what, diagnostic is the why. Why did it happen? Right? You start to dig in to say, okay, it's because we had more customers, or we have this new product and all that. And descriptive and diagnostic actually sit under what is called business intelligence. You might have heard that word around. So if you've heard of Power BI, the BI in Power BI is actually business intelligence. So descriptive and diagnostic are pretty much where BI sits, right? Then you have predictive and prescriptive. Predictive is more like you're basically predicting outcomes, right? Based on the past, right? Prescriptive is predicting what to do next, future actions to take and all that. And the way I like to explain it, I mean, some may argue, but the way I like to explain it is that predictive and prescriptive is where data science sits. Predictive and prescriptive is also called advanced analytics in some circles. But yeah, again, some might argue that data science is beyond just predictive and prescriptive, but I think it's just semantics. And I personally think that data science sits very fine there. All right. So in a nutshell, that's really analytics. And in terms of the roles, so there's a data analyst and there's a data scientist. Let's just run through it very quickly. The data analyst collects, cleans, and analyzes data in order to answer business questions or solve business problems. Again, remember what we said. So the data analyst sits more at the descriptive and diagnostic side of things. So the BI side of things, right? They don't do much of predicting things, except in a small team or small company. You might find them actually tending towards data science. When in larger companies, you find that the data analyst is focused more on descriptive and diagnostic. And most times what they're doing is they're automating business reports from end to end so that the business reports are available on demand. So what does that mean? So a lot of times organizations have their reports in maybe Excel and all of that sorts of places. The business analyst can take all that and automate it from end to end in like a Power BI or Tableau, such that business users can then have access to that report without having to call someone all the time or without having to work with Excel all the time. I mean, again, they can also do that automation in Excel. I mean, because you find that in organizations that that's mature, you find that they use Excel a lot. So yeah, you can also do that in Excel. But the idea is it's on demand. So there's very minimal manual input going in because it's automated from end to end. And the kind of tools they use SQL, they use Power BI, Tableau, Excel. In some cases, they also use Python. And who are the people who are fit for this? Well, tech savvy data lovers, people who are curious and who can cope with basic programming and scripting. That's a very key word, basic programming and scripting, very important. The data scientist, on the other hand, deals more with uncovering insights and creating machine learning models to forecast outcomes and guide decision making. So this person deals more with statistics, math, and heavy programming. And the kinds of tools you have will be things like SQL, Python, or R. In some cases, Power BI, Tableau, Looker. Then in the cloud, because a lot of things are going cloud, you have SageMaker, Azure ML for machine learning. In terms of fit, who's best for this? Well, it's someone who is heavily quant inclined. So quant inclined just means you're good with math. So calculus, statistics, person's a data lover. The person can cope with heavy programming and technical concepts. So for this, I can tell you for free, yes, heavy programming and technical concepts. Just last night, my team was working on something in the line of data science, and we've hit several roadblocks. And I can tell you that there's a lot of patience that's involved and a lot of knowledge about programming, heavy programming and technical concepts that is very key to you achieving the goal. There's also curiosity, and like I said, persistence and patience, very important, because even for the data analyst anyways. So I need to wrap up now. Even for the data analyst, to be honest, same thing. There's a lot of patience and persistence required for any tech-driven role. But I think for data scientists, it's just on another level. Okay, so let's just run quickly through this in the next 1-2 minutes. So there was an article I wrote sometime in I think it was 2018 on Towards Data Science. Towards Data Science is one of the leading data science blogs globally. And I wrote the article because I felt that I had spent about 18 months in the space, and I felt, there was a lot I could share. And the title of the article is called "The Dunning-Kruger Effect is Real. Data Science Can Become Data Science." And what this shows you is something called the Dunning-Kruger Effect, which is a psychological term, but or is a psychological concept, a psychology concept rather, but it applies in data science or data analysis or in the data space general. So usually when you first start, so you have competence on the x-axis, you have confidence on the y-axis. So when you first start, you're like, what is this, right? Your competence and confidence is zero. But as you move ahead with competence, with little competence, your confidence grows. And you're like, oh, this data thing it looks super easy. So for example, you've done an Excel course and you're feeling good with yourself, or you've done a Power BI course, you're feeling good with yourself, and it just feels like this is super easy. But as you grow in competence, you realize that there's more than you thought, and it's more complex than you thought. And as you keep growing in competence, the concepts start to make more sense over time. And then when you become an expert, you're like, man, this thing is actually not that straightforward. It's complicated, but you can still get to figure it out, right? So this is a cycle that I'm sure at least, if not 100%, 90% of anybody in the data space has actually been through this, and it is real. And so just very quickly, my advice as you go through this journey is pace yourself and set your goals. So learning is a marathon, not a 100-meter sprint. So relax and cut yourself some slack. The second is celebrate your milestones. So again, I picked this out of that article. You can look for the article online. These were just some of the points that I made in the article that I just picked out. So celebrate your milestones. So give yourself some credit at every milestone. Remember, you have a long way. Celebrate those little steps. Then join a community. So alone, you can do so little. But when you're in a team, you can do so much more. And that's why the likes of Datalium are very helpful. Then share what you've learned. So sharing what you learned is very important. There's something called the Feynman technique. I won't talk about it because of time. You can check it out. But it's a very interesting technique that helps you with explaining very technical concepts. Then practice like crazy. So data science or the data space is an applied field generally. So it means one thing: you need to practice, right? You do yourself a lot of good spending quality time practicing. And how do you practice? You practice using projects. Projects doesn't have to be real life projects. You can come up with projects yourself. Well, maybe some other time I'll be able to talk about projects in more detail, but it's very important that you're working with projects, because to get jobs, employers will always look for what project you've done, whether real life projects or projects that you just cooked up and came up with. Very, very important. So that's it from me. So I like to take questions. You can follow me on social media. I'm very active on LinkedIn, very, very active on LinkedIn. At least I post once or twice every week on Tuesdays and sometimes Thursdays. So you can follow me. And it's mostly data related stuff purely. I'm also active on Twitter. Twitter is more bite-sized, useful articles, useful tips on how to be a better data professional. You can also follow me there. Instagram, not so active right now. So don't bother. But you can follow me on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Those are my handles right there. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry I had to rush, but I was given 15 minutes and I usually like to just stick to time. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ayodele, for the wonderful session. I, I sure had a wonderful time learning from you. This is the point where we have some questions coming from the audience. I do have mine as well, but Onida would take this session for us.
All right. Thank you, Kamal. And thanks very much, Ayodele. That was a very insightful session, especially for newbies in data science. I'm sure everybody has learned something. I'm certain everybody has learned something. So here comes the questions. So guys, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat box and we will attend to it, ask Ayodele, and he will answer as much as possible. We have about 10 minutes or less for this question and answer session for Ayodele. So Promise says, I understand there is a close relationship between data analytics and business analytics taught in graduate programs for MSc. However, can you suggest potential research topics or subjects one can present as we learn? I want to prepare for my master's program in data analytics. All right. I don't know if you got the question. So Promise is asking to suggest potential research subjects or topics that one can present as we learn, as she wants to prepare ahead for a master's program in data analytics. Please send in your questions in the comment section, in the chat box, and then I'll make sure to read. Well, please unmute Ayodele.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm not sure I got the question well. Is the person going for a program or is the person already in the program? Hello?
The person is going for the program.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I think what will be helpful, right, is you can start to read up on, basic statistics. That's always helpful. So there's something called descriptive statistics. And you can also touch a bit on inferential statistics, but I would say you can sit on descriptive a whole lot. That would give you some of the things you from a theoretical standpoint, since it's just data analytics or business analytics you're going for. You can also start to pick up certain tools. If it's an international program, it's more likely that you'll be using Tableau than Power BI. Again, Power BI is more popular in this climb because Nigeria is a Microsoft-dominated environment. But what you find out if you're going to like the US, the UK, or Canada is that Tableau is more. It's probably, Power BI is popular there, but you just find out more people use Tableau than Power BI, unlike here where it's the reverse. So I'd say you can pick any of the two. The good thing is you can transfer that knowledge and you can pick up Excel. Excel is still a very good foundational tool to pick up for this space. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Ayodele. I'm sure Promise got some guidance on a question already. So a question says, how best would you suggest about securing remote data analytics roles? I'm not sure that fits very much into Ayodele's presentation, but would you want to
I
answer
can,
that?
yeah, I can answer it.
Okay, please
So,
go ahead.
so the data space is opening up rapidly. Over the last, if I compare the last 5-6 years to the last 2 years, there's a huge difference. There are lots of opportunities opening up now, both locally and internationally. So what's very important is that, like I said, it's an applied field. So you need to be able to show what you can bring to the table. And that's why projects are very important. Like I mentioned, it doesn't have to be projects from a formal employment. It can be projects from your own personal learning, right? You can pick up certain problems you think you want to solve and, try to solve them, get the data and try to solve those problems and be able to demonstrate that, you have the skills. Usually employers, both locally and internationally, that's what they're looking for. When I'm looking to recruit people, I don't stop at when people just tell me they're passionate, because anybody can be passionate. But when I see that you say you're passionate and I can see that you've worked on projects, then I believe you and I know you can actually do the job. So very important. Yeah. Thank you. So you need to build that, build that portfolio. And I'm sure as the space opens up more, you'll be able to get more opportunities. Hello?
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, Ayodele, thanks for that. So
Okay.
someone asked, talking about joining the community, can you suggest such data community I can join? I think I can answer that. Okay, I can
Okay.
suggest
That's fine.
one, and I'd let Ayodele suggest more.
Okay.
So the Italium is a data community, as Kamal rightly said in the
Exactly.
beginning. The community of data enthusiasts and professionals. And by joining this session, if you would want to, you could be part of our community and would gladly take us through the journey, depending on what level you are. So yeah, there is the Italian. So INSICAP says, what is the most recognized / valid professional certifications in data science? I know this is a question many people ask me personally.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's a very tricky question, but it's tricky because as much as certifications are important, I think projects are even far more important, which means that if I'm going through a CV, right, and you tell me you've done a certification, anybody can go through a course. In fact, one of my friends in this space, there's this Google Analytics program that he said he went through in 24 hours or 48 hours, right? So anybody can go through anything. I mean, within any time they want to. But what proves that you have the knowledge is that you've applied it. So I'm not as much as, yes, I think certifications are good. I'm more big on projects, right? So have projects that can back up those certifications. I'll take someone who has projects over someone who just has certifications. I mean, obviously, if you have projects and certifications, that's good. So that said, there used to be a Microsoft certification. I took it at some point, but I think they've taken it down. Now Microsoft is focused more on the cloud. So I think cloud is a good place because cloud is gaining a lot of ground, and that's the future. So Azure, AWS. If you're in Nigeria and you're aiming for Nigerian jobs, I'll say go for Azure. And then maybe move to AWS. If you're aiming for the international community, go right into AWS. Or if you're aiming for like startups in Nigeria, go right into AWS. And you can get certifications there related to data. The other one that I've heard people talk about, I've not really gone through it in detail, but I've heard, some of my friends who I respect talk about it, is there's a Google certification on Coursera, Google Data Analytics certification. A course review over it, I think it looks good because initially when I saw it, I thought Google would just be promoting its product and it won't be of any use. But it seems like they're not necessarily promoting their products. They're just promoting, the skills that are out there. So that might be a good starting point. I think Udacity is also a good place if you can get a scholarship. Someone is asking what's AWS. AWS is Amazon Web Services. It's a cloud platform, just like Azure, Microsoft's Azure, or Google's GCP. Those are cloud platforms. All right, thank you.
All right. We have thanks, Adele. We have like about 2 minutes left for questions.
Okay.
So I will try to ask all of your
Okay.
questions, and some I feel we can share with other speakers to answer. So
Okay.
I think one question here says, I honestly can't distinguish between data analysis and data
Hmm.
analytics. I think this is semantics,
Okay.
but yeah, I should let
Yeah.
Ayodele
So
answer.
so
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rita. So I typically just like to say semantics, um, because if you check around, if you read about it, you realize there's really not much different. Um, Even data analytics and data science sometimes are used interchangeably. I think I explained what my position is on that during the session. I'm not sure I'll go through that again, but yeah. So I think it's just semantics, to be honest. Even data mining and some of all those other terms, it's just semantics. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Ayodele. Yeah, so someone is asking something about projects, and I know you mentioned already. So I would suggest that you follow
Okay.
Ayodele on his platforms. He said
Yeah,
something about, I know
please.
he has a good knowledge on projects. I'm sure he has written something on LinkedIn or Twitter, so you could. So Joy's question is, she has learned Excel, Power BI, and SQL, but how does she get projects to start working on and improve on skills? I know Ayodele mentioned a bit on that, personal projects and stuff. So you probably want to follow your daily too, because I know that question, the answer will be very lengthy, and we might not be able to address it fully here. I think I'll just leave the other questions for the next speakers to answer. I want to believe it still falls within their jurisdiction. All right, thank you very much, Adele. I'll just go ahead
All right,
and
thank you.
introduce our next speaker. Thank you. It was nice
All
to
right, thank you
have
very
you.
much. All right.
Okay. So, guys, sorry, we like to keep to time. We have very few minutes left. Our next speaker is Jocelyn Rivera. She is a certified Microsoft data analyst, a business intelligence expert, and a certified Scrum Master with strong skills in interpreting and analyzing data. She has worked with various cross-functional and multicultural teams across different countries, especially Asia Pacific, Europe, and the Middle East. She has trained hundreds in the use of Power BI and has led and managed a Scrum team of developers, support management, trainees, and interns. Today, she'll be giving us insights from her career journey and opportunities for women in data space. Ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome Jocelyn. Hi, Jocelyn. Please unmute Jocelyn.
There you go. Can you hear me now? Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. Perfect. Okay. Hi, everyone. There you go. Thank you for the introduction. That's great. I'm going to add more. Okay. Let me just share my screen first. Hold on. Oh, sorry. Let me show my face so that you can see me, guys. Okay. Hold on. Let me just share my screen. Can you see me? All good? Okay. Let me share my screen as well. Hold on. Oops. There you go. Hold on. Let me just make sure that I can see you guys. Okay. Wait. I want to see the chat as well, just in case. Okay. Can you see my screen? It's actually in Canva. Unfortunately, my PowerPoint broke this morning. Okay, so I had to recreate them. Okay, in Canva. Okay, I only have 15 minutes, so let's get into it. Okay, so I want to introduce myself first. Okay, I'm gonna make use my most recent resume dashboard that I created recently because I'm trying to look for work. Okay, so this one is created in Power BI, just so everyone would know. So I am a business intelligence analyst. So as you start, if you are someone that are going to be you want to be a BI analyst, one of the things that you're going to be doing is likely build your own dashboard. Either it's going to be for personal use or it's going to be for work. Okay, so this is something that I created so that if I'm going to go into an interview, this is the one that I present. So recently I presented this in an interview. Okay, so I have 15 years of experience. No need to count how old I am, please. Okay, no guessing. Don't guess. Okay, I have 15 years of experience, 9 years as a business intelligence analyst. 3.5 years as a business analyst, and 2.5 years as an IT help desk in 4 different types of industry. Okay, so real estate, tourism, consumer goods, and technology. So I've worked in 2 different locations. I am a Filipino, so I came from the Philippines. So I worked there for 6 years, and then I'm here in Singapore right now. So I've been working here for over 9 years. Thank you, Singapore. So hopefully I can still stay here for so long. Okay, so that's 2 countries that I've worked for. A couple of years experience in the following tools. So this one, I focus more on BI related because, of course, I still want to be at the data analytics workspace. Okay, so of course, I have more tools that I learned, but it's not really related to BI. So I only stick with BI. So I have SQL, Power BI, like MicroStrategy, Tableau, and skills. I do have skills in data analysis, data visualization, and Googling. Okay, that's a skill. Knowing how to Google things is a skill. Okay, just to let you know, as a BI analyst or as a data analyst, likely you will be Googling errors, error message, or complex calculations. I always do that. If someone tells you that no, I never use Google, they're lying. Okay, so Googling is a skill. Okay, so I do make sure to look for ways to Google, okay? Because everyone's like, oh, I'm just gonna type this and that, okay? So no. So learn how to Google properly, okay? Conducting training, like they mentioned, I also am a Scrum Master, although still learning, to be honest. So I do have certification on Scrum, and I also passed the Power BI Data Analysis certificate, okay? And in my resume as well, resume dashboard, I also have some sample works that I've created recently. So these are something that you want to market yourself. Okay, so you need to make sure that you market yourself through your skills. Okay, so I did indicate here a couple of my works. Okay, so that's me. Nice meeting you, everyone. Okay, so next presentation is how did I end up being a business intelligence analyst? Everyone is asking me, Jocelyn, how can I be like you? Okay. Before that, I want to take you back. Okay. History. How did I become a business intelligence analyst? I'm a graduate of business BS information management. I'm not sure if all countries have that type of course. It's actually the same as BSIT. The only difference is that replace all the network courses or network related subjects into management. Okay, so I learned programming and management subjects during my time in college. Okay, so it's BS information management. So this one is specific for Philippines. I'm not sure for the rest of the country. You do have it. Okay, after that, I was 2005. My first ever job is a call center agent. Yeah, sad. Okay, because the problem is I couldn't find work. That's the easiest way. That's the easiest way to tell you guys. Okay, I couldn't find work, so my first ever job is a call center agent. But lucky enough, I learned to communicate. Okay, that's a good thing. Okay, I learned something during my time in there. So it's 1 year, and then after that, I was able to get a job as an IT help desk support. IT help desk support, this one is more on hardwares. Okay, when I say hardwares, if you are calling an IT personnel, Jocelyn, I couldn't boot up my PC, that's me. Okay, if you need to reformat your PC, that's me. Okay, so I was an IT help desk support from 2006 until 2009 before I jumped into being a business analyst. Okay, so business analyst is more on software, so I was handling SAP, CRM, in-house applications, so it's more on software. Okay, the thing about it is that you're going to ask, why did you jump from IT help desk support to business analyst? Okay. The answer to that is that I don't want to carry desktop. Okay. Desktop is so heavy. Servers are heavy. Okay. So during my time as an IT help desk, I need to bring that desktop to the IT support team to reformat. Okay, so I can't. Okay, I have scoliosis, for everyone to know. My back aches during my time there. So no. So I jumped into business analyst. Okay, and after that, I received a call, Global Blue here in Singapore, offering me a job as a business intelligence analyst. To be honest, I have no freaking idea what BI analyst is. I never heard of BI, okay? So I don't know what it is, okay? The only thing that saved me is that the hiring manager really loves my background, and he took a chance on me saying, hey, it's okay. I'm going to teach you all the tools that you need to learn and then make you as a business intelligence analyst, okay? So I was lucky enough to have that hiring manager who wants to take a chance on me, okay? So since then, I've worked in 3 companies here in Singapore. So with Global Blue, I was making use of MicroStrategy. With JLL, I was making use of Tableau. And then L'Oreal, I was making use of Power BI. Okay, 3 different tools, I know. So every single tools I need to learn on the job, okay? So the learning curve for me is high, is so steep, okay? Because while doing my job, I really need to learn those tools as well. So there is a pressure for the first few months, but I would say I had a really good support system. The company, even the team that I had, the boss that I had is quite supportive. They really helped me out to fast track my learning curve when it comes to business intelligence. So overall, my history of, being a business intelligence analyst is unplanned. Okay, that's the only thing that I can say about this. It's totally unplanned. Okay, hold on. There you go. Unplanned. I never planned it. I don't know about BI, never heard of it. So it's totally unplanned for me. Okay, so if in case I go back in time, if I can travel back in time with all the knowledge that I have right now, how will I become a business intelligence analyst? Oh, by the way, take note. There is a difference on business intelligence analyst or data analyst versus data scientist, which was mentioned during the previous presentation. Okay, so there's a difference. So for me, I'm business intelligence analyst. Okay, so if I'm gonna go back in time and then I want to really pave way to my path in becoming a business intelligence analyst, this is the things that I'm gonna do. This is the most common questions that everyone asks me as well on LinkedIn. Okay. Every single Jocelyn, guide me. How am I going to be a business intelligence analyst? How can I become a data analyst? These are the steps that I would recommend. Take note, this is my point of view. It doesn't mean that everyone should follow it. Okay. It's based on my experience and how I will do it. Okay. And also take note, all the steps are interchangeable, and all the steps, likely some steps are gonna overlap. Okay, so don't assume that you need to follow this strict step and then I need to finish step 1, I need to finish step 2. No, most of it, even now, some of the step I'm doing it overlapping. Okay, so step 1, learn the tools. When I say learn the tools, I suggest 4 tools that you need to learn during your time. The first one is Excel, advanced Excel. The thing about Excel is that some of the companies that will hire you might be just starting exploring BI. It means they don't have Power BI, they don't have Tableau. They're still working on, migrating those reports to Power BI or Tableau. My time with L'Oreal, we don't have any reports in Power BI. Most of the reports are in Excel and SQL. So what we had to do is, check all those data in Excel and then create insights, see how we're going to work it out in migrating those in Power BI. So ensure that you have an advanced knowledge in Excel so that it would be faster for you to analyze and, crunch the data, something like that. Okay. Second item that I would recommend is SQL. All the 3 companies that I've worked with, they are making use of SQL. So currently, it's still, I would say, the most common database that they're using. So really ensure that you have a really good knowledge on SQL. Visualization tools, it can be either Power BI, Tableau, MicroStrategy, ClickView. You have quite a bit. And everyone will ask me, Jocelyn, which one should I take? Okay. And which one is your favorite? I don't have a favorite, okay? Because it's not up to you which tool the company is going to use. The company might be using Power BI. For example, L'Oreal is making use of Power BI. My other company is using Tableau. The other company is MicroStrategy. But if you're someone that is going to be starting, what I would suggest is check the country you are living and see which one is the most common tools. Okay, so like we mentioned, right? So it's gonna be like, for example, for Singapore, the most common tools currently here is Tableau. Okay, some countries it's gonna be Power BI. So if you're starting, maybe start with something that is common to your country, so that if in case you apply to that job, likely that company is already using that most common tools. Okay. Fourth, programming language. Okay. To be honest, I don't know Python. I don't know Python. I don't know R. The thing is that some of the companies, they do have a data engineering team. For example, for all the companies I've worked with, we do have a data engineering team or data science team where they are the one doing this, because it's like more or less back end, I would say. And then we are the one collaborating with them, getting all those data in, and then visualizing the data. But I would suggest to learn this as well, because it's better for you to understand how they're doing things, so that when you collaborate, it's easier. Okay, if you have any question, it's easier because you understand, their language. Okay, programming language. Okay, so if in case, it's good to have, I would say it's a plus, but for me, it's not really something that, if in case you're learning, just learn the 1, 2, 3 for now. Okay, next, learn the skills. So the skills is more on soft skills. I would say communication, problem solving, stakeholder management, data exploration, data visualization. This one you won't really learn by watching YouTube or something. You can learn it by reading, of course, but you really need to practice this on the job itself. Okay, so especially when it comes to communication, talking to your stakeholder, how to manage expectations of your stakeholders, those are the things that you can learn on the job. Okay, next, read books on visualization. Okay, this is something that I should have done way back. You know why? Because if I compared my dashboard few years back versus the dashboard that I'm creating now, it's a mess. I would say it's embarrassing if I'm gonna compare it a few years back versus the one that I'm currently doing. It's embarrassing. I don't want to see it. Okay. So the thing about learning the tools, right? When you learn Power BI, when you learn Tableau, the courses that you're gonna do is that it's not gonna teach you how to visualize better. It's not gonna teach you how to choose the better chart. Are you gonna use bar chart? Are you gonna use pie chart? It will not tell you those. So a couple of books that I would suggest is Storytelling with Data, Information Dashboard Design, Guide to Informatics, Good Chart, and Everyday Business Storytelling. To be honest, I still have a couple of books in here on my site that I didn't include, but as a base, you can start with all these 5. Okay. Next step. The next step is practice, practice, practice. Okay. Join data challenges. Okay. On LinkedIn, I would suggest go join LinkedIn and then see from all the data challenges. The data challenge, it means like there are people who's actually doing data challenges where they share a free data set for you to work on. So you can create your dashboards by them giving you that data set. Okay, so there are a couple of people who's doing it already. So you can leverage on that so that you can practice. One thing that I want to note is that whenever you practice, this one, let's say it's more focusing on visualization. Let's say you want to practice using Power BI. Ensure that when you practice, you always go back to the objective of the dashboard itself. Okay, don't just, I'm going to create this dashboard. I'm going to create a bar chart. I'm going to create a pie chart. I'm going to create a line chart without even identifying what is the objective of your dashboard. For example, for a sales performance report, the objective is to drive sales. So it means when you create a dashboard, ensure that the dashboard will give insight to the viewers that it can really drive sales. Okay, so always go back to the objective, always go back, who will be my viewers, who will see this dashboard, will it answer their questions, will it trigger some actions to them. Okay, so this one will also practice your problem solving type of things. Okay, so fifth step, build your portfolio. When I say build your portfolio, this one I'm still working on. Create like a website for all your work, so that if especially for those that are just starting with BI, you don't have that much experience to show off. Okay, so but if you have build your portfolio and you have a couple of dashboards that you can show, your hiring manager is likely to tell you that, oh, this guy or this girl is got potential, even though he or she doesn't have any experience, but I can see from the works, I can see from the dashboards that he or she created, there's a potential for this person, so I will likely hire her, okay, or him. Okay, so build your portfolio. This one I'm still working on. The last step that I should have done way back, okay, is connect with data people to learn more. Data Loom, like they have their great community where you can connect with all the data people out there. LinkedIn is the same thing. So in here, what happens is that you learn new things from all those people. To be honest, okay, let me just share you. I wouldn't know that there is this existing books. See here, this is a DAX book for Power BI, and another one, another DAX book from Power BI, and see this one, Making Numbers Count. I didn't know that there are such books without those people that I connected with, and then we shared like, hey Jocelyn, these are awesome books you can read. Okay, so connect with people, connect with data people to help you out, drive some learning to you. So it's good to really learn from people and learn from the community. So again, all these steps are interchangeable. For example, for me, currently I'm relearning Tableau because I haven't used it for 3 years now. So I am relearning Tableau. So that is step one. And also I'm reading another book on visualization. I'm also working on my portfolio, and I'm also doing data challenges. So as you can see, I'm doing 1, 3, 4, 5 currently. Okay, and then this one, work in progress. Okay, so it doesn't have to follow each one, to be honest. For me, I would suggest, it gets tough because for me, I'm lucky enough that I'm currently on a planned career break. So I have more time. But if I will have 8 hours to 9 hours of my time, I would suggest spend at least, for me, what I usually do is in the morning, 1 hour, I read a book because my brain is more active in the morning. So I read one book, at least 1 hour in the morning. And then at night, I spend 1 to 2 hours in either building my portfolio or doing the data challenges, or gonna be learning another tool. So more or less, I would say 4 hours is 4 hours I spend just on learning. Okay, so it's just, I would say, rather than scrolling your phone all throughout the day, okay, scrolling your phone all throughout the day, then why not learn something rather than watching Netflix? I know you guys might be watching Netflix 1 to 2 hours a day. Exchange it to something, something that you would want to learn. Because the thing about being a business intelligence analyst is that, the thing about being a business intelligence analyst is that the tools change so fast. Power BI always updates their software every month. So there is always gonna be new things. Okay, so spend some time on those. You have the weekends, of course. Hey, the thing about me is that Saturday and Sunday is relaxed day, unless my husband is doing something else. If he's studying something, and then I'm gonna study as well. Okay, so anyways, so that is the full steps that I would suggest. So this is gonna be my planned version of it. Okay, so the other one is unplanned. I don't suggest it. I don't recommend it. Okay, so this is my planned version. Okay, so I hope that helps you out. And then I would share all the tools and then the books recommendation later on. Maybe I'll share it to Dataloom as well, the presentation itself, so that it can be shared to you guys. So those are my recommendations. So I think another 10 minutes for the question and answer. So thank you. Am I over time? Sorry.
Thank you, Jocelyn. You are just right on time. Thank you.
Yes.
Everybody loves your
Perfect.
vibe, and so a very interesting session, very open. I'm sure the average guy who is wondering how do I get into data analytics or business intelligence analysis has some idea on how to start. So, like I said, you've answered most of the questions, but one question I would want you to answer is someone asking if it is important to share your journey on social media. So I'm trying to find that question. Yeah, I would like to know if it's a must to share our learning journey on social media. Please unmute Jocelyn.
Oh, there you go. Can you hear me now?
Okay, please proceed. Yeah.
Okay, the question
Okay.
is, sorry, can you repeat it again? I'm so sorry. I got panicked. I couldn't unmute myself.
Oh, that's fine. So the question is it a must to share our learning journey on social media?
Okay, when we say social media, there is so many social medias. Okay, so for me, Facebook is my personal social media. So of that's where I share, not work related. If you're talking about like LinkedIn, yes, I would suggest share it on LinkedIn, the journey, the works that you've been doing, because the thing about LinkedIn is that if you share more, there's a possibility that not everyone, I would say there are possibility that more people is gonna look at your profile. And then this one is like a marketing as well for you, that if in case you would want to look for a job, a hiring manager may look at your profile. Just to give you an idea, all the invites for interview for me came from I didn't apply for those jobs, but they actually saw my profile through LinkedIn. They saw all the things that I've been doing, like the dashboards and things. They've seen it, and then they will reach out to me. Hey, Jocelyn, we saw your work. We really love it. Can we have an opportunity for you? So what I would suggest is, yes, share it. And then I would suggest is that if you know people that is quite good with things on data related things, I would say tag them, ask them for feedback, and then learn from their tips and tricks. Okay, I hope that helps.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. So the answer to that question is yes. Share your journey on social media,
Definitely.
especially. Yeah. Do we have any other questions for Jocelyn? I'm trying to get questions, initial questions we had, but I kind of think you have answered most of the questions. But I'll bring this back. So this says, I know you have a background in business
Mm,
information management. So it's almost like you have a background in tech. Your first degree was in
mm,
IT, right?
correct.
So someone who doesn't have a background in mathematics, statistics, computer science,
Mm.
IT basically, what's the chance of becoming a professional data analyst? Yeah. Um, no background in IT. What are the
Okay,
chances of becoming here?
for those who doesn't have any background, just I this one it's gonna be a personal thing. My husband is BS physics. Physics. Okay. He doesn't have any background in IT, but he is now working as a C#.NET developer. So what happens is that he also learned programming. So during the time that he is working, not on IT, on a call center as well, okay, he was learning how to program. Okay. So what I would think is that it doesn't really matter what your course is. What I would think best is that what is your goal for if you want to go to a business analytics, business intelligence analyst. If you learn the tools, if you spend time learning the tools and then creating those portfolio, definitely you will be able to pivot your career into data analytics. So there is this YouTube video, Alex the analyst. He's actually, if I'm not mistaken, he's like in a hospital field, I think, and then he was able to pivot himself into being a data analyst as well. So that one is a good way of doing it. The thing is that you need to learn while having a work, because of course you need to earn money. So make sure to spend time learning while working, and then after a year or two you will be able to pivot your career into another, whether it's a data scientist, whether it's a data analyst. So just focus on your goal and then focus on the things that you need to learn. Yep, I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you, Jocelyn. So thank you so much for your time. Right now, we will end the question and answer session for Jocelyn and move on to our third speaker for today. Kamal, over to you. Okay, while we wait for Kamal.
Okay, thank you so much, Oyi. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. It was really, really an interesting session with you, electrifying, insightful, and trust me, I enjoyed the honesty as well. So right about now, I'm going to introduce Toby Williams, a fantastic and knowledgeable data consultant. So I'm going to quickly run us through his profile, and then we also open our ears and minds to what he has to tell us this session. So Toby Williams is the founder of Resigracia. It's a data analytic consulting and product company that is into building and designing of end-to-end data products. Oh, my apologies. I need to put that back on. Yes, thank you. So basically, at Resigracia, they're into building end-to-end data products, leveraging on cloud data architecture and business intelligence solutions. Quite interesting. He's an expert at leveraging Tableau, Microsoft Power BI, Microsoft Azure, Amazon Redshift, Excel, Python, and a host of other data softwares to develop automated processes and dashboards that unravel unprecedented insights to drive decision making. Toby profile contains a plethora of vast data skills. He will be giving us guides and strategies to build a successful career as a data analyst. This is quite interesting. Lots of tools, and I'm sure our minds are open to learn from what Toby has for us this morning. I'm quite excited for this session as well. Thank you so much, Toby. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Kamal. I hope you guys can hear me. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna share my screen now. Excuse me. All right. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, awesome. So, well, my name is Toby Williams Babatunde. I usually just shorten it to Toby Williams. So, like, just in the interest of disclosing my entire name. And today I'll be talking to you about building a successful data analyst career, right? Your guide to leveling up. And first of all, I have to apologize that I think Jocelyn and Ayodele have stolen the show with all the very beautiful slides. So I have very, very basic slides, right? I'm just getting straight to the point. And I have 15 minutes to work on this. So I had to deliver this presentation. So yeah, let's get right into it, right? Well, maybe before that, right? Like, I think I feel very happy talking about this because I come from, an engineering background, worked for some time as an auditor and then an energy analytics engineer before eventually founding my company, right? So I feel like I, in the interest of full disclosure, I feel like I tried around different things a bit, right? And I learned data, or the way to analyze data from so many different sources, right? From my background in energy, right? Both bachelor's and master's, right? To working with financial data at KPMG, and to eventually working in energy analytics, right? Using electrical energy data to inform, decision making. And finally, to the point where I thought, hey, like these skills that I've applied to finance, I've applied to energy, can actually be applied to so many different things, right? So in 2019, I sat down and essentially started teaching myself from scratch data analytics, right? From understanding ingestion to where you store it in the cloud to how best to analyze it and to present it. So I feel like a lot of all the other things, like a lot of my trials and errors, I am going to be sharing with you here, right? So that you don't have to go around in circles, right? If you really want to level up, then it would be good if you could, understand some of these points that I'm going to share, right? Okay.
Hello,
so the
Toby.
first, yeah.
Please, can you put your phone on landscape? I think the slides will be better presented.
Super. How about this?
Yeah, then, no, like then you hold your phone on live landscape mode. Like you tilt it over.
Yeah. Is excuse me 1 second. I'm having an issue with it not tilting, which is very weird. So excuse me.
When you hold the phone sideways, I think everything just switches.
Does this switch? Because I didn't get that feedback from you. Does this work for you? Like when I switch it, when I hold it this way, has it switched?
So I think it's fine.
No.
All right.
Okay.
So I think let's proceed.
All right. I'm going to zoom in as best as I can. Right. So the first thing is like for you to understand fundamental statistics. I think the basics of data analysis, the basics of data science, all tie into statistics, right? So that includes things like aggregations, count, mean, max, average, etc. Understanding, mean versus median, where to use them, understanding the concept of outliers, why they're important. And I don't want this to sound too geeky, right? But these are some core concepts, right, of fundamental statistics that I think are very, very necessary, right, to hypothesis generation and testing, right, and knowing where to use unique and distinct, and like all of those things can be very useful to even like your basic understanding of what data is and how to analyze data. And I think everybody should understand some of these things, to be honest. Like, if you go back to like your time in secondary school, I'm pretty sure you remember taking some, that's high school or before you entered the university, you must have taken some classes on statistics, right? So, like and I think it was very boring for most people then. I found it extremely boring, to be honest. But it's the same thing, right? It's those same concepts that we still use right today in data analysis. So data analysis is not new. It was never new. It's not a bubble, right? It's just coming to the limelight now because of the vast amounts of data that we have to process and make sense of. So this is why understanding fundamental statistics is key, essentially, right? Yeah. And the second thing is to learn data tools, right? Learn key data tools. Now, if like Jocelyn and Ayodele have mentioned some of these tools, and maybe from my experience, like how I learned, like I started with Excel. I used to think I was really good at using Excel until I started using Excel for data analysis. And I was like, wow, like there's so many more things I didn't know about Excel, right? It's so versatile. And essentially it comes out as the second best tool for everything, right? If like for some people, it's the best tool for everything, right? Some people that work with small data, if you work in consulting or you work in professional services or in banking, right? Usually as a citizen analyst, right? Excel will probably be your best tool. So after I learned Excel, then I learned like this additional part of Excel, right, which is Power Query, which is essentially a data engineering and transformation tool for, like for data that is not like big data, I would say, right? And for a very long time, because I could transform data, I could, then I learned Power BI, of course, right? Because I could transform data, because I could write some scripts, right? Power Query is so powerful. You can connect to APIs, you can connect to data and databases, you can connect to data on websites and transform. You can do everything that you'd normally do, right? When you work with SQL in databases. I was like, because I had that knowledge, I thought I would not learn SQL. Boy, was I wrong, right? Until I joined like a really large organization with international teams, right? And I realized, wow, it's like, like what was I thinking? Why did I ever think that learning SQL wouldn't be advantageous, right? So in that order, I learned Excel, Power BI, Power Query, then I learned SQL. But this is why you have the advantage of listening to people like listening to these types of presentations now. So you don't, essentially take so much time, right? So I would say you should learn SQL as soon as possible, right? Because it's essentially a way for you to communicate with databases, right? Like it will never go out of fashion. There's so many other variations of SQL, right? If you're using some business intelligence tools like Domo, right, you'd find that they have their own version of SQL within Domo, right? If you use Tableau, you can write SQL right, within Tableau. If you use Power BI, you can write SQL within Power BI. If you use, like, there's virtually like no drawback to you learning how to use SQL, right? If you want to end up being a product analyst later on, right, you're going to be crunching data straight from the database, right? Maybe working in Metabase, another client tool for writing SQL. It's a really powerful tool and language rather, so you should learn it. Then learn between one of the two, Tableau or Power BI or ClickView or Looker, right? I already mentioned that there's a really good certificate out there, which is the Google Data Analytics certificate. Yeah, so if you take that, it will teach you how to use Looker and also Google Data Studio, right? So I see a lot of jobs out there if you can use Google Data Studio, especially for Google Analytics and Google, especially for user data, right? For websites that use Google Analytics. Yeah, so learn a BI tool. If you can learn more than one, that's cool, but look at your vicinity, look at your domain, look at the area in which you are looking to get a job and learn one tool. And Python, right? Like, you should have some knowledge of scripting, at least to be able to make use of code that has been written before, right? I'll give you an example. It's like during my last gig, there was a product manager that came on board, and some of my Tableau workbooks had like 100, 150 calculated fields. So it would have been very, very tedious for him to go through those calculations, right? To try to understand, what they try to click in each one to try to understand what they are. So what he did was he went online, searched for some code that has been written by someone before, hosted on GitHub, and he used that code, right, to connect to the Tableau workbook and extracted all the formulas, right, all the calculations. Now, this is somebody that is not the best Python writer, right, Python code writer. This is somebody that can just make use of, the resource that's been there. So he knows which file to replace in the scripts that someone has written before. Just have some knowledge of that. Python or R, excuse me, I didn't add R there, but Python or R, they seem to be some of the really good high-level scripting languages for data analysis. The third is to build a portfolio, right? To build a portfolio. Now, there are different ways to build a portfolio, right? You can start by creating a free website, right? You can use Wix or GitHub. There are a number of hosts out there that would give you a free website. And then I would say work on open source projects, right? Kaggle, for instance, has so many data sets, right? The World Bank, like open source data sets. Jocelyn mentioned some data challenges, right? There's one you can follow very well. It's called Onyx, right? Data challenge. I think they have one every month, right? There's Workout Wednesday. There's Makeover Monday, especially if you're into Tableau. When I started learning Tableau, I did Makeover Monday every Monday for like 4 or 5 weeks straight, right? Just to create my portfolio, improve my Tableau, and create a profile online. And if you work on something more interesting, it would be good to aggregate, right, all of those projects into a case study, right? Sort of like a PDF file, right? It's like, okay, this project, it was about this. This is the overview. This is the data limitation. These are the processes I went through, right? This is the outcome. This is the insights. This is the link to the insights, right? You put it in a sort of PDF. You have like 3, 4, 5. You can attach that as part of your application, because when you share with someone your dashboard, they might not entirely understand everything that's gone into working on that dashboard. Having an aggregated case study, right, makes your case essentially when you're not there presenting your dashboard to that person. right? Going through your application. And yeah, host your code on GitHub, right? You can host, like if you write some SQL code, you can put it on GitHub. If you write some Python code, you can put it on GitHub. If you are someone who is cleaning data and preparing it for someone else to use, you can put that on GitHub as well for someone to use, right? Of course, Tableau Public, again, by its definition, is meant to be a portfolio, right? It's like everything you create, and it's free, right? Tableau Public is free, right? So it's like create stuff, post it online. Yeah, if you entered like this Onyx Data Challenge, right, you'd be, you know, and you're one of the finalists, right? Your dashboards will be hosted on their website, which is why I've written, right, partner websites over there, right? And of course, if you created a free website, you can also host it on your website. So yeah, build a data portfolio. And it's never too late to start. You can start now. You can start with any tool you're using, right? You just need to start with some data and have somewhere where you're going to host your outcomes, right? Your insights. So this one is a no-brainer, right? Practice, join a community, right? If you use Tableau, right? There's the Tableau Data Farm on Twitter, right? Just post a dashboard, hashtag Data Farm. You're going to see so many like guys just come to check out, give you feedback. Oh, this is cool. Hey, try this. Like, it's so good, right? There's the Resa Data community, which of course is started by Resa Gratia, where we just help each other with data challenges. People ask questions on Excel, Power BI, Power Query, DAX, whatever functional language or scripting language you're working with. There's Weavies, right, which is like a Tableau-ish based community. There's Datalium. There's like, I feel like even engaging with posts, right, on LinkedIn is it's sort of like being in a data community, right? There's so many people out there posting content on data, but I think you have to focus a little bit, right? Because you can enter a community and find that all they're talking about is Python and machine learning, and you're just all lost, right? You don't want that. What you really want is to focus, right? Find a few people who are talking about something that you're currently working on, or you would like to work on, or you'd like to be involved in, right? And that will give you a really good sort of like leverage, a really good way to level up, right? Since we're talking about leveling up. Yeah. And this one is also very important, right? In terms of specialization. So we say a lot about data analysis or data analytics. We say business analytics. We say data scientist. We say machine learning engineer. We say analytics engineer, etc. Right? Once you've learned the basics of data, fundamental analysis, you've learned exploratory data analysis, you know how to use one or two BI tools, right? You might at some point decide to take your knowledge further, right? Number one, you should never have this mindset that whenever you take a course, then you're essentially just qualified to become a data analyst. I think being a data analyst is more of a mindset than a position. It's that constant yearning, right, for more to develop. So you will find yourself at some point, like you saw that chart that Ayodele showed, right, showing the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's so real. I think he said like 90%, like if not everyone has gone through that. You really think you know something, but then the more you start learning, then you go back into that trench. And you have to stay there for a certain period of time before you keep going back up. And I really don't know if it ends there. Maybe there's another deep, right, again, right? But anyway, so take some advanced SQL courses and Python courses if you want to, become a data engineer, right? If you want to go more into analytics engineering, like learn DBT, right? Learn Airflow, right? Which is used to build and manage data pipeline. If you want to start analytics consulting and building an entire data pipeline for people, right? You want to learn data warehousing design, right? And you can use any of these cloud platforms, like Google Cloud Platform has Google BigQuery, AWS has Redshift, Azure, right, has Data Lake, right? For data visualization, I would say learn an additional tool, right? Like Tableau is really, really great for data visualization. And you can also learn D3, right? There's also this concept of product analytics, right? Which, it's like, you're not analyzing operations or finance data. You're more like analyzing customer journey, right? The user journey, right? From acquisition to activation to retention to revenue or referral, etc. Right? So you might want to learn some specialized tools like Google Analytics or Amplitude or Mixpanel. And like having those tools, like it's really worth it. Like people pay well for like having those skills, right? So I would say if you want to level up, you need to consider advancing in one of these specializations, essentially. Yeah. And finally, what I have for you, not to take too much of your time, right, is, you need to be able to present your data at the very end, right? So data visualization and presentation is really, really key, right? So learn to build really clean, user-focused dashboards and reports. Try public speaking. Push yourself, right? Try public speaking. If you want to be business-facing, stakeholder-facing, you need to be able to understand metrics, even be able to build metrics from ground, right? And relate that to the business and why that's important, right? Yeah, it's really, really key. I can't underestimate the importance of presenting your data well and also being able to like designing a good dashboard and also being able to present that dashboard really well. Yeah, and finally, please read some books. There's so many books out there by these authors, Stephen Few, they mentioned some of them in the chat box I saw earlier, Information Dashboard Design. Edward Tufte is essentially an industry behemoth, legend, right? With books like, the visual display of quantitative information and so many others, right, that he's written. Indeed, he helped me a lot in how to visually present data when I started out. Cole Nussbaumer's Storytelling with Data is a classic. She did all of those visualizations in Excel while she was a consultant for Google. It was so impressive. She will tell you the differences between good and bad data visualization. Nathan Yao and so many others out there. Apologies for the visual, right? Should have been bigger. I'm having some problem with technology today, so but yeah, that's all.
Thank you very much. I'm sure for everybody that started this session with us, we got a bit technical with Toby's session. I think we got to that point where initially we're like, oh yeah, this seems easy. Then Toby just took us to that point where like, man, this is not as easy as we thought, right? So we have some questions for you, Toby. Right? Like you really went technical with us, I must say, because I also believe a good number of our audience are guys that are just setting out. So with our daily and Jocelyn's session, we're like, okay, yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah, yes. Seems easy, and then you just took us straight down like, man, it's not as easy as you guys think it is, but it's good, it's fine. So a question says, please, which platform can we find Workout Wednesday and Makeover Monday? So those are the challenges you mentioned. Like what platforms can those be found?
If you Workout Wednesday in Google. I want to take you to the website for Workout Wednesday. Similarly, if you type Makeover Monday as well, you should straight away you should see the Makeover Monday blog. So every Monday, right, you see a data set, you see the original dashboard that was created, and your challenge would be to recreate that dashboard, which is very exciting. And you can use any tool. And you have data from like 2019 all the way to 2022. So you have for every week, huge data sets of, open source data sets.
All right, thanks, Toby. So Young says, where can we learn SQL? So Young, I'm sure apart from very many online resources, if you want personalized face-to-face instructor to learner learning, Detalium has a monthly class on data science, and SQL is one of the very important tools we teach. So depending on how you want to learn, we all know that there are resources everywhere, but depending on the kind of learning you prefer, Detalium has a class every month on SQL, on data analytics, and we teach SQL also. Takirat is asking, where can we find research data community, LinkedIn or Twitter? One of the communities you mentioned, research data was one of it, and she's asking, is that posted on LinkedIn or Twitter?
Actually, it's a small group on WhatsApp, right? You can.
All right, so it's a WhatsApp platform. How do they join the community?
I usually send some messages out for those interested, so we can LinkedIn. I'm sure to send.
All right, I don't know if that's my internet or yours. I did not get that, but
I said
okay.
they come to me, right, and I will be sure to add them to
All right, the group. Okay. Okay, so at the end of this session, you could just share how we can connect with you, LinkedIn, Twitter, and then everybody wants to join your community can just reach out. So I'm trying to.
And I'll link it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure I got that. So there's a question, but I'm not sure if your internet is clear enough. It says, can you explain the concept of big data and how it relates to data analytics?
So big data is usually data that is, data that, for instance, has like a really high throughput, right? What I mean is it's generated like at such high frequency, like every minute or every second, which allows that data or the number of rows to be so huge, right? Where you have like billions and billions of rows, right? In some cases, sometimes it might be millions of rows, right? That you'd consider as big data. But I would say in every instance, right, when you need to work with big data, there has to be some sort of database that is hosting that data, right? So that database can be most likely on the cloud or stored somewhere in a data lake. And how does that relate to data analytics? Like, it would depend on the, like anybody gathering such data really wants to extract insights. Imagine a company like Airbnb or a company like Uber, right? Where they're collecting the location data of their drivers every minute, right? It's like, how many rows or records do you think that would be? It's going to be extremely huge, right? So that would be big data. And analyzing that would be extremely useful to their operations. They would need that to continuously eat on their that's yeah.
All right. Thank you, Toby. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, so there was a question from Jessica I was trying to respond to, and she was asking where you can practice. I know everybody from Ayodele to Jocelyn to Toby have talked about building your portfolio and how you can practice on projects. So depending on when you join, you can click on the YouTube link shared by Detalium to go over the recording again. There have been a whole lot of suggestions. We talked about the Makeover Monday and so many. So if you just take a look at them, probably after this, go through the session again. And everybody who's talked today has talked about how you can practice and build your portfolio, even how you can distribute it, like how you can post it on partner websites, on your websites, and all of that. Yeah, so Toby sharing his screen. Thank you. Hello, Toby. Are you taking mentees? Okay, Toby. So before you go, I think the final thing you should do for us is share your LinkedIn profile. I'll connect with you on LinkedIn, on Twitter, IG, Facebook, wherever it is we can connect with you. Email address if you want, so that personal questions can be directed to you. Is that fine?
That's super. That's fine. Thanks.
That's fine. Thanks. Yes, yeah. Please go ahead. Or you could just drop it on the chat in the chat room. I'm sure we'll pick it up.
Drop it, but let me actually stop sharing, and then I'll drop it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Toby. So we are moving gradually to the end of this very interesting program, and we'll be ending it with a bang. Yeah. And the last session we'll be talking about we'll be sharing a story on data analysis, how we started, how it is going. And who will be taking us through this storytelling session is no other but Jamal Gill. I hope I pronounced that well. He's the CEO, founder of All About Data. Jamal Gill is a digital marketing specialist. Cool. Oh, not very interested. An experienced data analysis and founder of All About Data. Is highly skilled in business intelligence and reporting, data mining and visualization, process models, amongst others, and has helped many companies and organizations achieve their marketing goals using big data analytics. He will be sharing his knowledge and experience working with big data as a professional in marketing. So as we end the session, ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome Jamal. Everybody's looking forward to Jamal's presentation. Welcome, Jamal. It's nice to have you.
Hi, appreciate the introduction. So everyone, my name is Jamar. I actually don't have a slide to share, but I would definitely love to share my story on how I got introduced to data, how I merged it with digital marketing, and where I'm going, and the skills that I've learned and where I learned them at. So similar to Jocelyn, I actually started in a call center in 2018. That's when I first got introduced to tech. Prior to tech, I was actually an entrepreneur. So I ran my own business dealing with printing. So I used to basically print T-shirts, business cards, and things like that. And I would do that for small businesses locally in my area. I'm here in Florida in the United States. And prior to that, I was also in the entertainment industry. So throwing different events and things like that as well. But got introduced to tech through a friend in 2018. Wasn't exactly sure of my lane, so I did start in tech support, more so troubleshooting like internet connections and things to that nature. And I got introduced to data in August of 2021, so fairly recently. And I actually started with the Google Data Analytics course. And the reason why I actually enjoyed that course is it introduced me to data on a different perspective. Because starting in digital marketing, we do look at data from a perspective of audience, how's the audience performing to ads, or how's the audience performing to the content that we're putting out, or how are the conversions looking. And the Google Data Analytics course actually introduced me to SQL. It introduced me to Tableau. It introduced me to Excel on a different level. It does get you, does teach you a little more things like pivot tables and VLOOKUPs and different tricks that you can do within Excel that you probably wouldn't do in digital marketing by itself per se. And so as I was learning it, I was like, this is pretty interesting. I can merge this with marketing. And so, that's kind of how I merged it in with being a digital marketing specialist. So I do recommend the Google Data Analytics course as a start. I wouldn't say that course is enough within itself. I think it's more of like an introductory, kind of like all the other speakers before me were saying. It kind of shows you the different skills that you can learn, and then you can get into different things like Data Camp. Data Camp has a lot of good projects or practice, you could say. I know practice was mentioned a lot today. So Data Camp definitely has a lot of sites you can practice as far as SQL, Excel. I don't think they have Tableau on there, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely has SQL practice on there, and and Excel practice on there. So I definitely recommend Data Camp as a source of practice. And eventually on my journey as well, I did start a community, which, I heard that mentioned a lot tonight as well. I did start All About the Data, which is a community where we do have beginners and experts in there as well. And this actually helped along my journey because I was able to, ask questions within this Discord community that I created. And we get together and we also practice SQL, which we have a thing called SQL Saturdays, which we actually host one today. So it's good to be able to, study with others and, see where, we can help each other out as far as SQL, which I did find SQL to be one of the challenging ones to learn, especially with there being so much different ones you can learn, from MySQL to Postgres to SQL Server. So my advice for that is to, just pick one. And the one that I picked was Postgres SQL. No particular reason. I was just attracted to Postgres SQL. But just pick one because I think it can get a little crazy trying to learn all of them. I believe if you learn one, once you find a job or anything, they'll understand, in one, you probably just have to learn the different syntaxes, which is probably not a lot or a big difference. So, so I would just say pick one SQL and stick to that and become a master at that particular one. And the same with the visualization tools. You can pick one. I chose Tableau, but like all the other speakers said, you can do the research in your area and see, which one is more in demand. From what I've seen personally from my market research, I do believe that Tableau and Power BI are the biggest ones, or the top two at least. And they do have certifications. Don't necessarily think that it's necessary, but if you did want to take the certification, Tableau does have Tableau Data Analyst certification, and Power BI has one called the Power BI Data Analyst certification, which it was just changed. I think it was just changed in March, actually. So I wanted to also get into documenting your journey. So documenting your journey, it was something that I started in November. I started it on Twitter and LinkedIn. And by documenting my journey, I really did it as a thing to hold myself accountable in front of the world. But through documenting my journey, other opportunities came to me as well. A lot of job interviews came to me through documenting my journey. I was able to meet a lot of CEOs, a lot of VPs within different companies. Just a lot of people acknowledging the work that I was doing. I've gotten opportunities to do speaking engagements like this. And I also recently landed a role as a digital marketing specialist in a cybersecurity tech startup, where I handle collecting their data, tracking their data from the ads that they run. I also get to help them set up their ad campaigns and look at their data and see, how we can fix their ad campaigns, how we can, put out better content. Like recently, I had to do some research and find out, what is the best time to post on their social media pages. And so, studying data and being able to look at things like that definitely helped me to understand how those things work as well. And if you are interested in digital marketing and merging data and digital marketing together, one course that I would probably take along with the Google Data Analytics course is the HubSpot digital marketing certification. And that certification basically covers all the basics of digital marketing. So it'll get into content marketing, it'll get into ads, it'll get into SEO, it'll get into video strategy marketing and things to that nature. So if you merge those two together, you can, it'll really supplement your resume or your CV, and you can get into like marketing data analytics, or you can be a marketing analyst, or you could be a digital marketing specialist. It all ties in, right? And that's one thing that I preach on my journey is you can merge data analytics with one of your other interests. So if you are just on the journey to become a data analyst, you can also see, what lane may interest you. Maybe you want to be a healthcare data analyst, or you want to be a HR data analyst, right? So I think you want to add those things in along with the skills that you're learning. You want to add in the industry that you may want to get into and do a little bit of studying there. Or if you already have a degree in it, you can see how you can merge it in with data analytics, being that data is everywhere, right? And that's what made me choose the marketing side, because I already enjoyed marketing as it was. And not really too much coding as far as, I just got the position. So, but as of right now, I haven't really had to do any coding at all, to be honest. And my last point here I would bring up as far as documenting your journey is building your LinkedIn. I do believe by building your LinkedIn and optimizing it correctly, using certain keywords when you're job searching, it'll have recruiters coming to you, which, I get recruiters reaching out to me pretty much every week for new positions. So if you're currently on the job hunt, I would definitely say to optimize your LinkedIn to make it show that, you are trying to pivot into data by doing the projects, as was stated throughout the presentations, is doing projects. One place that I like, and it was mentioned earlier, is Alex the Analyst. He has a portfolio section on his channel. I think that's a good place to start as well. In that portfolio, he goes over, he touches on SQL, he touches on Excel, and he touches on Tableau. So I think, even just starting with his portfolio playlist, he walks you through everything. If you're just getting into building a portfolio and you don't know where to start and don't know where to go, I would definitely say Alex the Analyst playlist has plenty of options for you to start. And so that's pretty much my journey. Like I said, I went from working in a call center which working in the call center, it does teach you like communication skills. It also teaches you to have analytical thinking skills as well when it comes to troubleshooting and problem solving and working in a fast-paced environment. So that's pretty much my story. I guess I open up to any questions now.
Thanks for sharing with us, Jamal. It's nice to see real life scenarios of your journey, especially coming from the digital marketing field and how that links to. So it's nice to know that they are not like totally different fields. The knowledge you gain in something as simple for digital marketing guys, data analytics, how it can transcend to getting in-depth knowledge of data analytics.
I'm sorry, what was the question? Or I think I lost you there. Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, I see one question here. Hi, Jamar. I like that you mentioned documenting your work. Are there particular applications that you found helpful? I'm assuming particular applications. Are you saying where I documented my journey? If that's the question, then I started out on Twitter. Mainly Twitter was where I was documenting, and then I recently got more so into LinkedIn. But Twitter was where I first was starting it at. So I would say Twitter and LinkedIn are the top two social media platforms for me. And someone says, hello, Jamar, when is the best time to post social media? So that can probably, that depends on, of course, you know, the data in your area. It's probably not the same for everyone. But based on the research that I had to do for the current company that I'm at, it was Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. But that again, that data is going based off what I found for their particular social media. So I wouldn't say that that's a global thing. That was data that I found, you know, working in their system. I'll go ahead and share my LinkedIn as well. If anyone wants to. Oh, I think I did it wrong.
All right, thank you so much. So Jamal's LinkedIn is in the chat box. We can all go in there and connect and leverage on that connection to also build better and bigger networks where we can learn from one another. Please, do we still have more questions? All right, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Most importantly, at the end of today's session, I would really like to thank our speakers for today. It's been an insightful session. It's been a session where we've been able to learn from their stories. And to be honest, I think this is one of the best ways to learn from people's stories so that you also don't make mistakes. And also in your journey, you have like a template to follow, right? some of the takeaways from this session for me is in the fact that they were open on their journey. So the fact that you're not coming from a STEM background or your current job role is not fully tech oriented, based on what we've been told today and the stories we've heard, we know that the opportunities are there. So as long as you put in the work and you're driven and you're passionate about what you want and where you want to be, right? So I need to say a big thank you to Ayodele Uduleye, Jocelyn Rivera for an electrifying presentation, Toby Williams for going in technical so that everybody that had joined in or that is still on the call should know that, okay, it's not just the beautiful visuals, but there's some certain level of technicalities involved. So we are prepared and we are not surprised. And of course, Jamar Bill for sharing the story with us. And you could see that he started in 2018 and look at where he is right now, the progress he's making in the industry. So that means whenever you wake up, that is your morning. So if you start today, in a few weeks, in a few months' time, there are going to be testimonies to be shared with so many people. You also be a success story. So for us all here at Detalium, we're all about sharing the impact of upskilling, right? So the impact in which you can get for yourself and also to your community. It's also very important. Also helping women in tech and also giving them an opportunity to be self-sustained and also have a voice in this world of technology. So it's been a wonderful session from everyone, from our audience as well. Thank you so much for staying with us. We know people like Jamar and Jocelyn are in different time zones. It's really difficult, but they made out time for us, as well as also the attendees. It was interesting to have you all, and also for sacrificing your sleep for some of us and others, their break times. So it's been wonderful. Thank you so much for joining. I also got messages as regards to the slides and video recordings for today's session. All this will be shared to you all in due time, so that you can always go through it and learn a thing or two from it. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. And I do hope you have a wonderful weekend ahead. Please connect on LinkedIn. Let's build a network. Let's spread the impact. Enjoy yourself.